everybody. Hello, welcome. Welcome to the 4th day of Power Skills Virtual Career Summit Transformation Edition. My name is Diana Viola. I'm the Communications Associate at Career Advising and Transition Services at McGill, the School of Continuing Studies. Today in this call is my colleague, Emily Salvi, Career Advisor. Say hi, Emily.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
And today is a very special session because I'm with two of my favorite people in the world, Agatha and James, who I will introduce properly in a minute. Because before we get started, I would like to share a message with you. McGill University is on land which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst Indigenous peoples. We respect their territory, and we'll start this session with a land acknowledgement. So we appreciate that you keep your microphone closed while we play the land acknowledgement.
Diana, should I play that?
I have it ready. Thank you, Emily. Okay, we are back. Agatha Pollack is a content creator, social media manager, live stream producer. Her favorite type of content is video. She believes is the key to success on social media. She loves appearing on video herself, therefore she has her own YouTube channel. James Tucker is a digital content creator, expert in Agile content marketing and event speaker. James has over 20 years experience in digital information technology. He worked in major digital marketing agencies in London and has vast experience as a project manager. They both are founders of Cruise Creative Media, a digital content agency based in the Canary Island, Tenerife. That helps businesses all over the world connect with their customers. Well, Agatha, James, welcome to Power Skills.
Hello, it's nice to be here.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining.
How's the weather like there?
Absolutely scorching hot.
Very much so. Yeah. To be fair, yes, it is summer. It's cooled down a little bit, so it's only around about 28, 29 degrees. But it's been a good summer. It's been a really good summer. For the past couple of weeks, we've had between 30, 35.
Yeah, we live on a tropical island, so I would like to say that the summer is always good and the winter is always good as well. So yeah, we had a bad winter last winter. It got down to 14 degrees for a day.
Yeah. And actually, if you don't know the Canary Islands, someone actually interestingly said, if you want to compare it to somewhere else, it's probably the Canary Islands is probably classed as the Hawaii of Europe, which I think is kind of a nice comparison. Tenerife, yeah, we live on a small island. You can pretty much get around the island in a car in an hour. And yes, we have a huge volcano in the middle.
So we're sitting on a volcano.
So we sat on a volcanic island, which makes things a little bit more interesting.
Wow, that's super interesting to know. Thank you for painting the atmosphere where you are at now. Well, we have a good summer too, so I'm a little bit jealous. You have the beach close. But still, we have a good summer. And now that we are talking about your lifestyle, what you do, the place you are at, we are all aware that you are the owners of your agency, and I'm curious to know, I know that many HR professionals could hate this question, and I will explain that why later, but I would like to know, how's a day in life of a content creator? And I said that I've heard that some HR professionals hate this question because no other day is equal, is similar. You know, you have challenges every day, so it's quite of boring, especially in this career creative field. So can you tell us more about how's the day in life of a content creator, social media manager?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that also between social media managers, the days probably will not look the same, funny enough. But for us, it's pretty simple and straightforward, I would say. We wake up in the morning, we have our little quick stand-up meeting because we work in an agile environment. So we catch up quickly on what we're going to be doing and achieving on a specific day. And then we get to work. And what is work? Work is very, very different, can be different every day. Some days, I mean, I kind of like to work, since we work agile, I can pick how I organize my work, but I like to work in the blocks of time. So I either do blocks per client, and I create content for one client first in the morning, and then I have another few hours to create it for other client, or other days I decide that I'm going to do all the video editing at the same time, and then I'm going to do all the copywriting at the same time. I can kind of mix and match, but there's definitely a lot of content creation, copywriting, video editing, and then also working on our own content. So sometimes doing stuff like this, like we did today, sometimes catching up with clients, old, new, you know, catching up on where we stand and how is everything going. And the rest is admin.
It's business admin on top of it. To be fair, all of it's really good fun. I saw a great post the other day. I think it actually was a meme about people working in social media. So it was more aimed at people working in social media or content creation. And I think the sort of meme or the title of it was, I only really wanted a job that was 9 to 5. And in social media, sometimes it can feel kind of like 24/7. But you know what? It's like with any business. Yeah, there's struggles, there's ups and downs, but we absolutely love it. And I guess because it's your own business, the reward is completely there for you. So yeah, it's with anything, I guess, you know, with a fast moving, because it's technology, it is digital related, it's all fast moving. It's really good though. It's really good fun. There is times it can be stressful, but any business is like that. And if anyone's looking into this, it's a really, really good opportunity to get into something along the lines of social media management or content creation or live streaming. There's so much opportunity, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about it because we're only a young agency, and if we look back, Agata's a really good one for this, to sort of remind me, you know, especially, you know, if I've got some issues or problems or, it's frustrations with a business. And Agata will always say, just to remind you, James, where he was 12 months, 24 months ago. So it is, to start with, it's hard work, but the rewards are completely there for you if you want to start on it.
Well, and this brings me to another question, because on Thursday we had a conversation about embracing a nomad lifestyle, more specifically a digital nomad lifestyle. So we speak about these people who embrace an independent, location independent lifestyle, where you have to work wherever you are. If you have internet connection, you are good. You work from anywhere in the world. So this is something that a job as a content creator or social media manager allows you to have. And it's a job that actually helps you to break barriers, language barriers and cultural barriers, even if you are located in a new place. And I would like to hear your immigration story, if you are open to the Canary Island, because I know that you're learning Spanish. Mostly in Tenerife, they speak Spanish, you are learning, but you're still in the process. Still manage to build a profitable business and a successful brand. How did you do that?
Should I just say hablo poquito español?
Poquito, poquito.
Poquito, poquito. Lo siento. So yeah. I'm learning. I'm doing my best to learn Spanish, but as you can probably tell by accents, I'm British. So I'm from England, in a city called Manchester.
And I'm from Poland. Well, from Łódź, but I'm from Poland. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can imagine where I come from. If you don't know Manchester, let me just give you a brief overview of the weather. It rains all the time. There's not much sunlight there. There's not much of a summer. And I'll be honest with you, as the type of person I am in terms of being outdoory, I like my leisure. I like surfing. I like volleyball. I like going out running. I like to be on the beach when I've got that downtime at the weekend. So a perfect opportunity is Tenerife, because Tenerife has got that glorious weather all year round. And there's perfect opportunities here on Tenerife that's been open the world up to digital nomads. So for me, for my own benefit, for my own health, and also for the opportunity of having a business here internationally, then it was a perfect choice for me to come to Tenerife.
Yeah, and for me, I'm Polish, but before I moved here, I was actually living in northern Sweden, very much north of Sweden, so 500 kilometers to the North Pole. So it was getting very dark in the winter, and I was just feeling physically ill, because it was like mentally I could handle it, I was working out, everything was great, but physically I lacked sun. I couldn't take vitamin D supplements and all of that, and I used to work in sales before, and I had a little bit of background in social media there as well, because I had to bring people to my store somehow when it was minus 25, outside. I had to draw them in somehow. So I decided just to move to Canary Islands, and actually both of us, when we came, we didn't initially started our own business. We had different jobs, but we eventually managed to open our own business, and we are very happy with it. And circling into the digital nomad lifestyle, on this Tuesday, we're going to Poland for 5 weeks, and we can work from there, right? So I'm able to visit my family for however long I want. And of course, it gives us opportunity to do that. But of course, here being on Tenerife, we work with people around the world.
So just to let you into a secret, me and Agata did meet on Tenerife. Everyone always asks. Everyone asks it. So we did meet on Tenerife. Obviously, for the opportunity to come over to Tenerife, and exactly the same for Agata. Obviously, I worked for an agency in London. I literally just kind of like quit my job and just said, I've had enough. I'm moving to Tenerife. Of course, I had to work what I would call as an interim job. So I was actually put into a position of being a sales manager for selling sun cream, which was perfect because Tenerife, sunshine. But of course, that was just to kind of get my foot on the island, so to speak. Not foot in the door, but foot on the island. I always had aspirations of starting my own business. Because I had a digital marketing background, it obviously helped and supplement that. When I met with Agata's background was around media from a different source in terms of podcast, radio, film. Again, a little bit of if you didn't know, Agata's actually been in a Polish film.
Oh yeah, I even have IMDb website.
So she's listed on the website IMDb.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. IMDb. Her dad, so she comes from that kind of heritage. So her dad's a voiceover actor. You won't know him unless you speak Polish, but just to give you an idea of some of the roles, he was the Penguin in Madagascar. He was Darth Vader in Star Wars.
It was plenty.
So you can imagine, it comes from that kind of, is it right to say theatrical, media, podcast, audio, radio? So our skill sets sort of complemented each other very well. So it was like, maybe we should do something. Okay. So this was like way before, the concept of Cruise Creative. So I was like, what do we do? So I was like, I come from a marketing background. You've got this skill set. I've got the skill set from managing a business from Agile point of view. And I was like, well, Santa Cruz is the capital city. It's only a small city, but capital city of Tenerife. So Santa Cruz, we're creative. We're kind of dealing with media. Let's come up with Cruise Creative Media. So that's the kind of name behind it before we even put our own faces to it. So we're like, cool, we've got a company name. Let's establish and get businesses on the island. What we're going to do? Well, let's get into social media. We're good content creators. We can target businesses, because you got to remember that Tenerife is predominantly a service-based industry, towards the tourism market. So let's target businesses that are restaurant owners, excursions, all that type of holiday type of business sector, and let's concentrate on that. Let's give them an opportunity where we're showcasing their foods, their excursions. Let's put in video. Video streaming started to become fairly new, and the adoption to bring that to businesses was fairly new. So we was like, yeah, let's go with that. So we established Cruise Creative Media on Tenerife, but our business sector really was very much on a local basis, very much local. No one international off the island, solely all based on Tenerife. And then, of course, COVID hit, the pandemic hit.
Yeah, and all of a sudden we had to switch everything completely and move digitally, which we actually welcomed because we always wanted to work with people around the world. And yeah, we were lucky that, people started noticing us, and we started, changing our strategy as well. And now we work with people all around the world, really.
This is very interesting and something that I would like to ask you, because many people don't know, and for example, students that want to get into the field of social media marketing, content creation, one of the things in the models, business models of the agencies is hiring people overseas. So even if I'm here, I can work for someone in the Philippines, or I can work or hire someone from elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So, and this is a very interesting question, because I know that you, for example, hire some talents to produce certain things, or not only you offer your services and you manage other people's businesses, but you also hire people to do certain things for your clients. So a good question will be, and content creators and social media managers, we tend to have like projects here and there, like our talent is scattered all across the internet. Like, I did this for this brand, I did this other for this brand. And how can we put together a good sample of our work and then present it to an international agency and have a gig, for example, for an international agency?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you want to do and who you're targeting, of course, because your target is going to be a little bit different. But what I like to do is create a portfolio, either digital or, you can do it in a PDF. Choose the most variety of the stuff that you can showcase, but also, of course, the things that you're the most proud of. Make sure that, you don't break any NDAs or anything, but try to create something amazing. And I would also want to say that being versatile is quite a good thing as well. Of course, it depends, because everybody who works in social media has a little different strategy. We know people who work specifically with very specific sectors. So if you want to do that, if you want to be specialized in, I don't know, interior design, showcase the post that you can do both in, your graphic work. Maybe you want to highlight, maybe you want to do case study. Maybe your client doesn't mind you to do a case study and show what results you have gotten. You can approach it in many different ways, but we actually are big proponents, which I'm sure we're going to get to, of being human first. Yeah, because humans do, people do business with people. So just sending hello, here's my sample, there you go, do you want to work with me, might not be the best the best strategy. But it is important to have a portfolio to show what you can do. But I would almost say that it almost comes second. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely agree. Yeah, definitely agree on that. And just to give you a background in terms of how, of course, it's got a bit of a crossover. We briefly explained before about Cruise Creative hitting at the start of pandemic, and so our businesses was predominantly local. So you can imagine restaurants closed down, excursions closed down, the whole sector closed down, which obviously was very worrying for us, because it basically meant contracts were being cancelled. And it's a case of how do we grow from this? How do we survive from this? And of course, I guess it was almost really an epiphany in a sense. It was like, listen, our services are based purely digitally. They're digital services. So we don't need to completely focus locally on the island. We can reach out internationally. Of course, predominantly going to be English audience. So we've got a huge market on the doorstep in terms of the UK. Europe as well, are an English speaking market, the US, Canada, Australia. So we've got a lot of markets to go for. But of course, we needed to do some tweaks and do some changes. We find while we had the time through the early stages of the pandemic, just to get our own branding right. So branding that you can see here was started from the sort of day one, because we had a branding I would call it pre-pandemic. We had a branding that we subtly changed, but this hasn't changed since we went through that small change of rebrand through the pandemic. But the one thing that we did change then was to basically me and Agata to be a lot more forward facing on video. So yeah, the early stages was to post branded content around Cruise Creative, but then to suddenly slot in video posts, engaging posts, value posts that were showing me as a face, Agata as a face. So our strategy really was to always, through the power of video, I know that's kind of an overused word, but it is true, the power of video, to constantly give value, and then eventually there's a business win. Value, another business win. And people really do take to that. So I would probably say almost like, I can't really put a complete figure on it, but it's probably going to be high in the 90s, if not 98%, that we've probably won businesses through video and used Cruise Creative as a platform, but used our own personalities to win businesses internationally.
And how do you do that when you don't feel like you are an introvert, or you feel like you don't want to be the face of the business all the time?
Well, I mean, there are stuff to you can work around, but I would say that majority of people that we have worked with, and we have given advice to, eventually go over that block, because especially now in pandemic, we saw the big shift, because all of a sudden everyone had to work on Zoom and everyone started to be a little bit more used to the fact that they're on camera and they are not always made up and not always in makeup and not always, sometimes it's just bun on the top and kids running around in the background, So people start to get used to that. This is also how you can look on camera, not only, back in the good Hollywood days when everyone, had 4 movie stars and they were the only people on camera. So now I think we're becoming a little bit more used to it. And there are ways to exercise and to make yourself more comfortable on video, and start small and work. It's like with working out, you have to start small, try by yourself. What I think helped me a lot was installing Snapchat and talking through Snapchat with my friends, because I'm already used to talking like that. So I'm already used to seeing myself on camera in every situation. Then, you can start recording yourself, like short videos. Never publish them, just start, getting over the freezing in front of looking at the lens. And eventually those barriers go down. It also not always have to be the video. It can be your pictures and stuff. Video is absolutely the most powerful and it's always the best choice. But if you're easing into it, just try to ease in with a photo, maybe a backstage, first show what you're doing, then maybe show yourself with what you're doing, then yourself, and then go to video. So I would say small steps. We have a few advice on that, on how to start, script your stuff, not script your stuff, etc. But eventually it's like a muscle. You got it. It's no problem.
And there's sort of 2 points I want to kind of cover is, believe it or not, I don't particularly like video.
Yeah, you don't.
I've got used to it, of course. And this, like doing this live. In fact, I actually prefer live over produced video. So doing anything like this is absolutely great. But my concept, and I guess a lot of people will have this feeling if they drop another buzzword here, which sometimes I feel like it's a little bit overused, but it's true as well, is that inferiority complex.
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. That's imposter syndrome. Like you kind of like hold back, like you don't want to press record because you feel like you haven't got anything worthy to say, or whether you feel like you're kind of limited in the skill set. The thing is what I've found, and with others as well, is nobody really cares. So once you've hit the record button, you'll be actually surprised that somebody out there will take that value that you've given to them. So they're not really, so there'll always be some, because you're not going to please everybody, but you will please some. So you just think about the kind of like power behind that somebody will walk away with value that you're actually giving them. So the idea really is, I know it sounds really sort of cliche, is just hit the record button, obviously practice, but actually at the end of the day, nobody really cares. I mean,
yeah, nobody judges you as much as you think.
yeah, no one actually really judges you. Everyone's got the concepts now that people have jumped on board video, that there's no issue with it at all.
I have a story.
Go
when
on.
you finish.
I like it. Oh, do you want to do the second part? Or do you want to cover that one?
No, you go on and I'll tell the story later.
And the second one was, this was back in the day where, again, we was just going through the early days of the pandemic. We was changing the business. We'd lost business, but we needed to gain business. And the one super thing is that most people still do, and I still find it now, is if you're reaching out to somebody, most people will still send a text message. Now, what I mean is by if you're using a DM in an Instagram or you're messaging someone in LinkedIn, don't do that at all. Because what I found was, if you did do that, the response that you would get back is very limited. If you send them a video message from a DM, or you send them a video message in LinkedIn as a message, I think you possibly more likely would get a higher chance of a reply. And believe it or not, people will reply back to you because you've engaged with them from video. That's really just how super powerful video is. That if you send them a video message, the 9 times out of 10, they'll reply back. And all they'll reply back with is a no or a yes. But the point is you've got to reply. You'll get a reply more so than if you actually sent them a text message.
And now I'm going to say a story, sorry, coming back to the insecurity kind of in front of camera. We started working, God, it was a while ago, with a guy who was a handyman. Yeah, he's a handyman. He repairs houses, renovates them. So we said to him, it would be nice if you could be on camera. And he's like, what am I going to say? I mean, I have nothing to say. I'm like, no. You have expertise that someone else doesn't have. Because this is another thing that we're thinking about. What am I going to talk about? I mean, I have nothing to share. No, you probably know something more than someone who starts from zero. I don't care if you're a baker, you already know how to do the full cake, the frosting, decorations, so much more than someone who have never done it. So what we did, we were just like, I literally stood in front of him with the phone and I'm like, which is the best type of flooring for Tenerife? And he actually, told me, and I'm like, well, that's your content, and then next video, what do you think would be the best type of wooden floor to choose for this type of apartment? There you go. And, and we put music, we edited it, we made him look like a super rock star. And it was great. Next time, he loved it. He was like, yeah, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that. There is eventually, it works. It works. Yeah. And I completely agree with you with sending video messages.
Oh, so, okay. Yeah.
I love that. And actually it makes total sense because, for example, Instagram is putting more emphasis on reels and privileging video content over photos. And again, like the buzz on chatbots and conversational marketing, like people are getting away from emails and they want to talk to real people. And like the challenge of technology is making those chatbots more human. Like I'm in contact with a person, and I once attended a conference where they emphasize the FICO, including in your chatbot list sequence, include your video. Your welcome video, because you need to approach people in a way that is long lasting, like building long lasting relationships. So that's incredible, and we totally agree on that. And I'm just curious about, because this sounds like personal branding, like you are the face of the business. But for example, if you have an e-commerce, if it's not you are the business owner, but it's not you the protagonist, it's your product. How can you level up the power of video content for you? How to make that work? The video content strategy.
If you work in your business, that's it. I mean, why wouldn't you show a backstage of your work? Why wouldn't you show, guys, we have a new product, this beautiful shaker.
Yeah.
This is water in shaker, but don't judge me. So we have this beautiful product, this is going to come out in the next 3 months. Or, oh, look, we have a new warehouse. Like, there is so many things that you can do that come to mind.
Yeah, your employees are the stars, aren't they? They're the ones who make the business tick. So if they're the stars of your business, let them be stars on video. There's a lot of platforms out there now that are changing and are adopting live video. So, live video shopping. So just reading just recently, I think it's still in beta. I'm not even actually too sure it's been released properly yet. YouTube shopping, Amazon live shopping. Why can't you do that from an e-commerce website? Let your employees be the stars, have faith. I think sometimes businesses are kind of, I don't know, they're a bit scared because it's like, oh, I'm going to have someone from, my staff being on video. No, but everyone's really taken on board and adopted the use of video.
And if I can add to that, I think if you observe yourself, how you're judging things in real life outside of social media, if you think about your favorite store, if you think about your favorite cafe, if you think about any kind of, I don't know, hairdressers, whatever, what do you like the most about that place? Is it chairs or is it a hairdresser? Is it, this lady that you come back home and you're saying, you know what, I love this pastry shop because there's this older lady and I always see her doing this stuff meticulously. And, she's been doing it. She told me she's doing it for generations and she has this recipe and her daughter helps her. This is what you remember. This is the stuff that actually makes you connect to the brand, not their chairs, I mean, yeah, great, we all like Starbucks, but you're going to go to Starbucks, you're going to come back and they're always the same. You don't tell stories about Starbucks unless they write your name wrong, which is always, but you know what I mean. There's always we have that emotional connection in real life to those things. So those are the things that we have to show.
Great. And for those who are tuning in, I just want to recommend you to follow Cruz Creative Media. I'm going to put the links on Facebook, so you can go and check their YouTube channel because they teach you how to step out your comfort zone and how to prepare yourself to your next level virtual strategy, content strategy, video strategy. It's 12:40 and I want to leave some time for some questions that we received previously on the call. I have a question here from Kosi Essie. I hope I'm pronouncing her name or his name well. What's the best way to stay motivated and consistent with creating and sharing content?
Motivation is a funny thing, right? Because some people think that motivation comes first and some people think that action comes first. I think that you need to have a system. It's like creating every habit. So you need to create system for yourself. So let's say that this one time you're going to batch create, right? Twice a month, you're going to sit down and you're going to batch create. You're going to do a fire up. I don't know. We do brainstorming sessions of what types of posts do we want. We check what strategy worked before, what is going to work, what might work next time. So we have a horrible wind all of a sudden. And so we do that and we batch create and you kind of get into the rhythm. It's a habit. You're going to have to practice it for a while and eventually it just comes naturally to you. I mean, that's kind of actually just saying we use this behind us quite a bit. Just a good old fashioned whiteboard. Unfortunately, I had to wipe it before I came on live today because you had some client information on there. But we use this a hell of a lot just to do some brainstorming. And brainstorming for us is brainstorming around different types of content. What content are we going to put out? We basically sometimes put out their calendar and we'll fill the gaps in terms of what content is going to be delivered for a particular client, the type of content, the details that needs to go into it. Then we get it down into a system, a digital system, and then we work on that. But that for me is probably one of the most creative things that really helps us within the agency. I know it sounds really simple, but even if it's just a notepad, this really enables us to get our creative juices out there. we actually also have a post on our Instagram. Follow us on Instagram, cruise.creative. And so, oh yeah, make sure you drop our Instagram there as well. We have a really good post. Yeah, about how to stay consistent on social media, and it is in planning, because we understand, especially when we start working with a new client, we understand that if you are going to be doing your social media, you're busy because you're also running a business. That's why planning and batch creating is very, very important, because you can be very creative with some stuff. You might, instead of thinking, oh my God, it's Friday, I have to post another picture, you might want to do everything in one day or everything in a few hours, and you put it in your scheduler, and it takes care of it for you. So you don't need to, always stress to do everything last minute. And yeah, this planning aspect helps you to be more consistent, because we've been there, everybody has been there. If you don't have a post and you all of a sudden, oh my God, I have to do this, oh my God, I have to do that, what am I going to post? That's not super productive. So being proactive and planning everything ahead definitely helps.
And also just going back on terms of building relationships and engagement and so on, I've just on my phone here just got a follow from Natalia
de Camargo.
Yes. So thank you for the follow, because I can see on the Zoom meeting. Thank you very much.
That's good. And just to add to that, social media has been around for almost 16 years. Basically, Facebook launched 16 years ago, probably. So it's less than 20 years in the business, in the market, but still, like, we are not on those days where social media was something that someone else did for free, for like the intern that did that because it was cool to do. Like back, like those days are gone where social media was nothing, it was not a full-time job. Like now it's a full-time job business. And it gives you results if you put the effort. So yeah, motivation, it's less motivation, more discipline, plan, and marketing. And that's why the following question is about how to work on your marketing and branding without feeling overwhelmed. And this is from a business owner, an entrepreneur. And I don't know if this has something to do with, James, your expertise in agile content creation, agile marketing. So if you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Around agile marketing. Yeah, I mean, my background was, I was actually long time ago, especially when you came in the bio, you said 20 years. I was like, really? I've been in the business of 20 years, makes me sound like really old now. But I was actually a web developer. So then I moved into marketing under the sort of project manager umbrella. So I was working for some big agencies in London, delivering more on the sort of like website. So I picked up agile marketing skills from that side of things in terms of the development world. When me and Agata started to sort of formulate the sort of startup of Cruise Creative, of course, there's a management side to that, whether it's management from the business, just simple things, or not simple things, but the sort of meat that goes into a business, the everyday mundane stuff, the invoices, the expenses, and so on. How do we manage that? And of course, then on top of that, we've got to manage a number of clients with their content. So for me, Agile, even though I came from a software development background, I did kind of question and thought, can I actually use Agile in a marketing concept? Not knowing that it was actually in the marketing world. And of course, you can do some of the basic concepts in terms of what we're saying about the whiteboard. I actually use the whiteboard quite extensively to sort of plan out work. Then I get those ideas down onto a digital board. Now, some people who are watching or listening to this will be used to tools that I guess the popular one out there is Trello. There's lots from Trello, ClickUp, Monday. But what I would suggest is you do need to have some form of only basic overview of just the simple agile, I call agile methodologies. We have a concept where Data briefly touched on it before, that if you've got an idea, a piece of content idea, and it might not be fully polished, there might not be any detail on it. It might just be a title, a little concept idea. Get it down in what I would call a backlog. And people will say, what's a backlog? Really, it's just a collection list of to-do items, but it's a place where you can store it and refer to it at a later date. So when a client comes along, or even if it's content for yourself, at least you're not scratching your head thinking, what content can I put out? And if you follow those agile processes, you can always refer to that backlog or to-do list and say, right, there's actually content in there that I can pull out and plan to publish and schedule content for a client or publications for ourselves as well.
And if I can add to it, I learned Agile from James. I didn't have the concept before. And at the beginning, I was like, I'm so busy, I don't have time to learn Agile. I swear to God, it relieved all the stress because now I can leave everything in the system and I can rest. You know, everything is there, all my tasks, the emails that I have to answer, who do I have to contact, what piece of content do I have to create? Everything is one space and it moves nicely from to do to done, piece by piece, without feeling that overwhelmed that I have 3,000 things in my head. I have to keep track of all of them. You know, we have all been there, writing something on the phone, writing something on the notepad, you know, everywhere, and feeling overwhelmed. I think having a proper system in mind definitely helps.
And I'll just say, I've not planned this. It just happened to be that this question just came about. But actually, if you follow me on my LinkedIn profile, I've actually got a video coming out today on how to plan your content in an agile way.
Yes, so follow James on LinkedIn.
So if you check me out on my profile on LinkedIn, then there's a video coming out around about 6:30. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is your time, but it's about 6:30. Yeah. But it just happens to coincide with that question.
Yeah, you are in. If for those who don't know, James is a speaker also in social media summit, so he knows what he's talking about. So you should follow him because his insight is incredible. Someone asked about a time, like on average, how much time should a business owner, solopreneur, should devote on social media content creation and posting
themselves?
Themselves.
I would say this. First of all, I like to advise people to start small because the most important thing is consistency. And a lot of people are very excited at the beginning. They're like, I'm going to post 7 times a week and 3 videos and 7 reels. Start with 2 and see if you can keep it up. If you can, make it 3, then make it 4. I like starting with 3 posts a week. It depends how many platforms you're going to. You can start with 1, or sometimes you can cross post, let's say from Instagram to Facebook, or if you're your B2B business, definitely LinkedIn. But I would say that if you batch create, let's say for 2 weeks, I mean, depends again, how complicated are your posts? You know, it should be few hours, not more than that, for each of your batch creation session. So overall, within a month, you might end up spending 8 hours. Yeah. If you're very efficient. Of course, if you do reels with, you know, jumping and switching and, you know, or
transitions, crazy transitions.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's going to take more time than if you're just putting pictures of whatever is in your story, you know. So it depends on the kind of post, but start simple and build up on that. Just start. And
also, you don't need to be on every single channel.
Yeah.
So pick channels that are obviously relevant to where, you know, your customers are going to be. So, I mean, for us, really, we are generally across the board on all the social media channels. But for us, even our main focus predominantly is between Instagram and LinkedIn. Those are really our 2 core platforms. So as a business who's getting into being self-reliant and doing their own content for social media, just target. You don't need really anything more than 2 to start with, but just pick where you're strong, where basically where the strong customer base is for you.
What about, like, I've heard this is strategy that you should go to the like social network that is booming only to take on the name, just to be careful no one else takes the name and then you cannot go there. Like, for example, I'm not ready to TikTok, but I have my business, so I opened TikTok with the name of my brand just to keep it safe. What do you think about that?
I would say yes, do it, because in the future you might want to start TikTok or start Twitter or whatever it is. Yeah, save your handles. We do that. We do save the handles for clients just for future. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do that, even though that might not be your main concentration, but at least you've got the handle stored for when
you possibly might need
Yeah.
to make the switch
Yeah.
and use that channel. For example, TikTok.
Mm.
You're a TikTok
We do.
person.
We do have two questions in the chat.
Yeah.
I believe that you already spoke about this, but just in case I want to check in. Carlos asks to Agatha, is video the best content for LinkedIn?
Yes, video is the best content for everywhere because it gets the most visibility. LinkedIn has few different features that are now being pushed as well, like, polls, have very good reach, documents. LinkedIn is not, as much focused on video as Instagram is right now, but it is still the best because it will give you the best connection to a viewer.
Yeah, definitely. And definitely if you can try to, although it can be problematic if you can try to start to do lives on LinkedIn, but there is a little, I don't know if you know about this, but it can be a bit problematic because you've got to put an invitation in. It's not like Facebook or YouTube or Twitter where you can instantly go live. You do have to put an application in. And a lot of the times you don't get approved in the first one or the second one. You just have to keep putting those applications in. But it's definitely worthwhile getting LinkedIn live because they're really going for, well, just all the platforms are for video, but certainly from a live stream point of view, go for LinkedIn.
Natalia asks, but I believe this is the answer Agatha already answered. What actions did you take to start gaining visibility within the market? I assume video.
Yes, but also if I can sum it up, I would say make sure you build strong personal brand, because even though you have portfolio, people always check what you do on your own social media. If you want to do social media for someone else, you have to have a good social media of your own. So invest in your own branding, which is also your face.
It's a good point. And I was actually only thinking of this the other day, especially for people who are, obviously here interested in social media management, how to get started. The best example actually is, and again, this isn't just to get there, it's literally have a look at Cruise Creative's Instagram feed. And if you go to and it's not very old, it's only 16, is it 14, 16 months old?
Yeah.
14, 16, 16 months old. Go to the very start of that feed and you will see the brand, I call it the brand evolution. So when you actually see the first couple of posts coming in, that's if I put a timeline on that, that's basically me and Agata during the pandemic, rebranding Cruise Creative Media. And very, very shortly in that feed, you'll actually start to see, if you want to call it like this, me and Agata being personalities of Cruise Creative Media. So you'll see that structure. And as with anything, things date. So apologies if it doesn't look quite as forward thinking as what it is now, but you definitely get a good example of that evolution. The brand build first, and then very, very quickly you'll start to see the personalities around the business. So I'm guessing I'm putting myself down here, but me and yourself.
I just put your LinkedIn or your Instagram handle in the chat. I hope I will put all your handles in the replay for sure. We have 5 minutes left. I just want to check in with the audience if anyone has a question before we wrap up, or all the questions were answered.
We can still talk for another hour if you want.
Yeah, for sure. I can spend with you guys for a year talking about social media. I do prepare rapid fire statements for you. So I would like to know if those are myth, reality, and a quick explanation of why.
Explanation. Okay.
Well,
you have to keep that in mind. It's rapid fire. Don't speak 5 minutes on each. Okay, go on.
Okay. Only young people use social media.
Myth. Complete myth.
Should
Should we explain?
Quick explanation. My mum's a big, massive social media fan for Cruise Creative Media. She likes everything. She comments everything. She's 60. I've got to get her age right. I think she's 66. No, 68. That's old.
Well, my dad is an influencer. Well, he's only 60, but yeah, she's a pretty much influencer on Instagram. So there you go.
My customers aren't on social media.
Oh, that's so false. The social media is social, so it means that everyone is on it. Like social media is the new way of putting billboard on the street. If you walk on the street, who looks at the billboard and who looks in their phone? Of course, they're on social media, on some form of social media.
Exactly.
Next.
Worry less for likes, followers, focus more on sales, calls, leads.
True. Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Oh, yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, it's
Oh,
it's true. Because likes, I mean, likes is a vanity metrics, and followers, again, vanity metrics. What you get out of it, either it is engagement or sales or good connections that you get, actually is gonna turn your business around. It's not, if you want to be an influencer, yeah, maybe you want to have followers and likes. But if you are a business, you want to grow your business. So,
Yeah, well,
so your leads and engagements.
Basically, you don't need 10,000 followers. You can have a functioning, fully working business with less than 1,000.
Exactly.
And screws.
Because how many people walk into your business? Less than 1,000 probably. I mean, it depends. If you're Amazon, then probably.
Ads are the solution for low engagement rates.
Sorry?
Ads are the solution
Ads.
for low ads,
No.
advertising.
No, I would say they are solution for reach, but they're not solution for engagement. So if you have low reach, yes, ads will give you more reach. But if your content is not engaging, then it's not going to fix your engagement.
Yeah. And you can have zero ad spend.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because believe it or not, we're
close to zero.
We are pretty much close to zero ad spend.
Yeah.
This one is good. Hashtags will give you more followers.
That's a tricky one. It used to be yes. Now it's maybe yes. Hashtags are a way to get more visibility. So if you use your hashtag smart, you can still, of course, the more eyeballs and you have good content, then yes, they will give you more followers. Again, it has to be backed up by good content. Hashtags work better on some social media than the others. Yes and no, I would say.
It's like playing roulette with hashtags, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely use them. Yeah.
And the last one to wrap up. You are the most powerful marketing tool at your disposal.
Hell yeah. And that's, well, basically everything we've been talking about today. Because I always say this, there is going to be some other business that does the same thing that you do. Or eventually they're going to rip it off you and try to do it similar. The only thing that differentiates your business from all the other businesses is you. Because I remember when I grew up in Poland, we had a coffee shop called Coffee Heaven, which was a ripoff of Starbucks. And they were doing great. And eventually Starbucks came to Poland and they died, right? Because, well, the only thing they had is being a copycat. Or the product itself is great, but you have to back it up with a person. So yeah, you're definitely the strongest.
Absolutely, yeah. And also you've just got that connection straight away, haven't you? When it's you and the other person, there's that connection. Especially when you think about from our connection with you, Diana. I think this is our second time we've briefly spoken, but it feels like I know you and you certainly know us. And, you just think of it from a business point of view, especially if you're just negotiating those first couple of steps. Straight away, you've just broken that barrier in terms of that introduction and you know somebody almost immediately. And this isn't physical. This is just like, this is a virtual meet. So relationships are really good, stronger point of view as well.
And one thing that I also want to add, maybe for the end, but people tend to think about social media in terms of numbers. But each of those clicks, each of those likes, those are people. And those are, if you would have 30 people on your post, you're like, oh, is that it? But if 30 people walked in your room and would say, I like your business, you would absolutely love it. So you have to switch your mindset and think everybody who sees you on social media is a person. And that will change everything that you do. And always, whoever you engage with through social media, online, whatever, there's always person behind. Behind every brand, there is a person. So address every brand as a person. If you want to sell something, sell it to a person, not to a brand. Everything is still about people. I don't care if we're in our phones or we're out on the street. Everything is still about this human connection.
Wow, what a beautiful
Mic
way
drop.
to frame it. I love it. I didn't think about that before, and that's true. If you receive a hug for 30 people, you receive 30 likes and you don't feel like you made it. You need the virality. But if 30 people give you a hug, you will feel so loved. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, for being here with us, for sharing your magic, your knowledge, your experience. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy and energized after our conversation. Your happiness is infectious, and your passion for what you do is infectious as well. So thank you so much, James, Agatha.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And here you have your Montreal friends based in Montreal. And for all of you who are watching us, we have more events, upcoming events throughout the day and tomorrow. Feel free to join us in many other sessions. Pass by our website, register, and hope to see you in another session of Power Skills 2021. Thank you so much.